Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, with some technical difficulties, problems. It's lo-fi version of Let's Get Physical Media. You know him, you love him, all the way from Saarbrücken, Deutschland, sticking with me despite the technical difficulties on a new computer. I got none of my graphics. I don't have access to anything except my charming personality. We have him, you know him, you love him. Your favorite German, my favorite German, everyone's favorite German, Mr. Dieter Bastian from Saarbrücken, Deutschland. Dieter, how are you today?
I'm fine, Rob, but I have to ask, you blew the fuse. How is your main board doing?
Are you hearing echoes?
No, I don't hear echoes. What's
Okay.
up in the chat? Everyone seeing us? Everyone hearing us?
I think they are.
Okay.
I would hope they are.
I hope they let us know if something is not up to the usual standards. So
it's not up to the usual standards.
Yeah. Let me just say, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Dieter here, I'm Rugby Like Eric, and welcome to the B&B Motel. Sometimes, it's not the Ritz, it's a motel. You can have difficulties.
Today, it's certainly a motel. What can we do?
Definitely. What can we do? But here we are. Everything good in the chat? We are good. Okay, all good. Here you both fine. Okay, nice. Nice to know.
After the stress. See, so for people after my main computer is shorted out. I got this new computer that John Campy got me. I'm using great computer. It does not have access to any of my stuff because I need to put new drivers in this M1 chip, which I haven't done. So excuses. We're here. You know the show. You don't need our theme song. I can sing Let's Get Physical Media for you, but I don't know the lyrics. So we're going to just start.
Yeah.
Peter, we're going to jump right into it, and we're just going to pretend like it's any other show. First of all, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Have you seen Top Gun Maverick?
Yes, I have, Rob. I was at my theater, at my multiplex on Thursday. Really enjoyed it. But always honest opinion here. The hype was way too high for me.
What?
That the movie couldn't exactly reach it because I forgot, Rob, Top Gun is not really about the greatest story of all time, But
no, that's the never-ending story.
Yeah.
Here we are.
The aviation scenes were really well done. And I loved the really clear layout of the mission itself. You did totally understand what they are trying to accomplish and what they had to do to fulfill the mission. I think it will probably get a little bit higher with the second viewing. And I only hope, Rob, when the Blu-ray, the 4K will get to us, considering Paramount, Mission Impossible, Fallout, that we get the IMAX aspect ratio, perhaps switching aspect ratio. That would be nice.
I mean, I think the movie has overperformed. They're talking about it grossing $150 million domestic.
Do we know the box office?
Well, I can. Would you like me to tell you, Dieter?
Yeah.
Would you like me to tell you?
Especially international, Rob. How does the movie international?
It's been doing here. I will give you. I'll give you the. Let's see where we're at today. Where are we at? Let's look at this box office today for best ever for Tom Cruise. It grossed 151 million in the US and almost 100 million worldwide. So Top Gun Maverick is supersonic. Yeah, should I sing that song? I won't. Don't worry, I won't.
So it's
supersonic with 124 million overseas opening in career best for Tom Cruise. Worldwide is at 248 million through Sunday. That's just through Sunday, and tomorrow is a national holiday here in the States. Tom Cruise has outdone himself. Paramount Skydance's Top Gun Maverick buzzed the tower. See what they did there? In 62 international box office markets this weekend, landing with 124 million debut. This includes previews and is the best overseas launch ever for a Tom Cruise movie on a like-for-like basis, surpassing Mission Impossible Fallout by 28%. With domestic through Sunday, the global total is at 248 million. That is a monster global opening. I mean, you have to keep it in perspective. It's not like, it's not Marvel, but this is a Tom Cruise movie. It's a jingoistic, rah-rah America movie, and that it's doing well is a big deal. In 32 markets, this is Cruise's biggest opening ever, and in 18 is Paramount's best for a live-action title. Overall, it's the second biggest opening weekend for a live-action Paramount pick, behind only Transformers: Age of Extinction. Even 36 years after the original summer blockbuster, audiences clearly have not lost that love and feeling. For the ace fighter, I didn't write this. For the ace fighter pilot, Joseph Kosinski directed film is appealing to all demos, even moviegoers who weren't around for the original. But legs are expected, as older demos should come out for a movie with mega word of mouth. Germany's start was 6.5 million from 700 theaters. So there you go. It did well.
Okay.
In Australia, Japan, France, and cruise records were set in Brazil, the Netherlands, Sweden, the Middle East, Belgium, New Zealand, Poland, Argentina, Finland, and Portugal. And there are some fierce dinosaurs ahead as Universal begins offshore rollout in a handful of markets this coming week with Jurassic World Dominion. But Maverick is expected to have legs. And I just want to point out that the new Designing Hollywood podcast is going to be with the aerial coordinator from Top Gun Maverick, and that's going to be dropping on the 1st of January or 1st of June. So check that out. There you go.
So for me, Rob, the highlight was the actual mission that they have done when they were on the mission.
Yep.
So the last 30, 40 minutes was really intense, and it's insane considering you see Tom Cruise, and I think, how old is the first Top Gun? 35 years.
It's 36 years old, man.
Unbelievable.
I know.
Awesome,
right?
Awesome. But I hope it will come with the shifting aspect ratios on Blu-ray and 4K. That would be really nice, because I read on some website it's, I think, about an hour of IMAX scenes.
Yeah, I saw we saw a 5-minute preview before Doctor Strange in IMAX. I'd seen the movie in Dolby Vision at a CinemaCon, but I'm going to see it with Elizabeth today in IMAX, so I'm looking forward to that with my friend David Hargrove. So that should be a lot of fun for us. But the 4K is already up for pre-order. They're putting it out
Steelbook
in a steelbook, and they're doing a 2-pack with the original Top Gun. But I already have that. I have that in 4K, and I have the 3D version, which is a great 3D conversion. Yeah. So, yeah.
Rob,
there you go.
I want to show you something a little different, which has nothing to do with physical
media.
Should
I cover my eyes? Is this going to be something?
No, I try to make it work, Rob. I try to make it work. So this, Rob, can you read that?
Saarbrücker Zeitung.
Exactly, Rob. This is our newspaper, our local newspaper, because my mother, who is not, at the World Wide Web, she Googles sometimes on her phone, but she really uses, the newspaper.
Your mom's old school.
The newspaper. Exactly, Rob. Exactly. So this is the newspaper, Rob. I hope I can make the date. Also, the date is from Friday. It's from Friday, Rob. And this is the front page, Rob. This is the front page.
Oh, that's even an old school picture.
Yeah.
And what
this is the front
say?
page. What does it say, Rob? It says on May 27, 1972 was when Enterprise premiered in Germany on television. So way later than you got the show.
Yes,
so it's 50 years considering last Friday. This was only the front page, Rob, and inside there was then the article about it.
Wow, and there it goes.
Infinite Widen is actually was the German introduction always. And then, of course, we have a little bit of Johnny Depp here.
you got to save that for me. I want to frame that.
Yeah, I will send it to you, Rob. So this is
it's very funny.
Saarbrücker newspaper, from May 27.
That's amazing.
The front page.
That's amazing.
My mother did send me a picture, and I said, keep the newspaper. I will show it on Sunday.
I think it's very funny that we always talk about how you Germans need your titles, the titles of your movies, to be self-explanatory, to make sure that I think that
Starship
Star Trek,
Enterprise, Rob.
Star Trek, the motion picture. You didn't have to change that. Oh, it's Star Trek, but it's on TV, and now it's in the movies. So there you go. Star Trek, the movie, as opposed to the TV show.
Exactly. How do we start, Rob? With some stuff I have watched this week, live chat, news. Because if you come here for a structured show, people, this is not a structured show. You have to go to John Gambier show if you want a structured show. This is not a show.
This is structure, man. I mean, we have. I mean, and we got personality, and that goes a long way.
Okay.
You know, I actually got. It's funny. I look at my.
Yeah.
I got, these are like a couple weeks old, but I look at my. I got a pretty respectable pile here. But yeah, what did you have any live chat? I don't think we had any letters this week. Do we have any letters?
No, we don't have any letters. We can start with the live chat, Rob. No problem.
Why not?
With that.
I like, because that way I can go have a beer.
Yeah. Let me just see where we start here. We start with Charlie the Unicorn. Dieter and Rob, forgive me, for I have sinned. I only bought 8 4Ks in the last 7 days. Well, Charlie, to be forgiven, but don't let it happen again, or you will have to answer for it. You
haven't sinned, Charlie.
Yeah.
You've joined the club. You park your shuttlecraft in our shuttle bay. That's all that matters.
We will let it slide. And we know Rob and his team won a little award for Tango Shalom.
Yes.
And Michael Lido said, as an acceptance speech from your perspective, he started a Star Trek rant and was played off with music.
That is not true. As a matter of fact, I don't remember what I said, but somebody actually wrote me this week and thanked me for giving such an eloquent, lovely speech. I have no idea what I said. You can find it online, but I don't know what I said. I didn't look.
And Charlie the Unicorn answered to Michael Lido, you nailed the scenario perfectly.
Man, I get no respect. Come on.
Jared Speed, I think Ember, because we talked a little bit about the trial, so of course there were some opinions about the trial. I think Ember should have been awesome Carol Danvers. No? Why not? Tom Jr. Jackson, I love Amber Heard in Drive Angry. Tom, we all did, okay?
Oh, yes.
Charlie the Unicorn, I'll be honest, I didn't really know who Amber Heard was before Aquaman, but man, she wore the hell out of her outfit, I noticed. So Charlie the Unicorn, you don't know all these classics. All the boys love Mandy Lane.
On, man.
Where are we with the sequel, Rob? Is the script in works?
Now we have to write all the girls love Mandy Lane too. Go for a little chicken. Wow. Actually, if you know what I'm saying. And I know you do.
Charlie the Unicorn said, Ember has a very high hot versus crazy ratio.
Yeah, but you know what? It's always that can serve you well, at least for a little while.
Yeah. Kevin Wellburn, I got rid of all the boys love Mandy Lane years ago. Why, Kelvin? Why?
Because he knew what was coming. He wanted to get the crazy out of his house before it was too late. That's what he had to do.
Charlie the Unicorn back again. Charlie the Unicorn back again. What is crazy how many fucking grifters showed up around JD. Huh? That is actually really true, Charlie. Shogun Order, Rob, I see it behind you. He asked, is that a Roy Fogger Robotech helmet behind you, Rob?
Yes, it is. I don't think I can reach it from here. I can't. Oh, maybe I can. Yeah. So
careful, Rob. Careful.
I got it. It's a little dusty. This is an actual working motorcycle helmet. It is. I love this. I don't ride motorcycles. I don't even own a motorcycle, but this was $500. And they did it. I want to say they did it for the 30th, but it wouldn't be the 30th anniversary. It might. No, it would have been for the 40th anniversary, maybe, of Robotech. And they made them for the 4 principal characters, Max. Why am I drawing a blank on Roy Fokker? I mean, why? I've got the other helmet right in front of me. Anyway, but this is an actual working motorcycle helmet. And I'm like, how I had to have one of these. And of course you have to get Roy Fokker. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on Homeboys. Red, Rick Hunter's helmet. So I'm getting old, man. I'm all this ephemera that's stuck in my mind. But this is a really dope. It's a very nice. It's made by a very reputable Japanese motorcycle company, and I was gonna get all 4, but I'm like, ooh, that would just be kind of dumb. Yeah. But so that's what this is.
So you can see how well people observe your observatory.
Yeah,
what is behind you.
There's so much stuff in here that is. The problem is I'm alphabetizing everything as I go, because this, I figure I'm going to be here till I'm dead. So I want to put everything together and make sure it's all, it's all good.
Okay. Tim Hens, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are actors putting on a show, bread and circuses for the peasants, if you like. And I am one of those peasants, Tim, Tom Jr. Jackson, but honestly, I think the whole court case shouldn't be shown. It is a personal thing between two people and it's no one else's business. You're right, Tom, but I even subscribe to a lawyer channel to get a little bit more how in the USA it works. And he said the American people have the right to see how the justice system works. And the judge said it will be televised. So, okay, there you go, Tom. People have a right to know, to see the mudslinging. Donny Pearson, Cobra Kai never dies, neither does physical media. Donny, I'm there with you, Tim Hens, every disc should be region-free, whatever country you come from. I can't say it right, Tim, you're right. And it shouldn't come with forced subtitles too, but considering the regions, we are better now than we were when it came to DVD, at least. People always ask us, Rob, how we categorize our Blu-rays. Dirty Soul Monkey says, my physical media is DVD separate and Blu-ray 4K together, organized by how they look, yes, by aesthetics. So that's would be possible for me too, considering media books, the companies from the media books. Can be a way too.
You know what? I have always alphabetized my movies strictly alphabetically. I think that there is there is obviously, with all the different box sets, Criterion, Turbine Media Books. Hey, did you look into that Possessor Turbine Media?
Yeah, book? It's still available, Rob. It's still available.
Okay. My problem with that is if people come over and they want to look through your collection, they get lost, and I don't know where to tell them to look. Like if they're looking for a horror film, and I've found that for me as well, strictly alphabetizing by title is the way I go. And I will say this though, as I've been rearranging things and re-alphabetizing everything, I have pulled out, for the very, very first time, I've pulled out all of my 4K discs, because the Robservatory is armed and operational with a 4K Dolby Vision. I mean, the system, you got to come here just to hear what it sounds like in here, because it's out of fucking control. We got full on Dolby Atmos, 65-inch Dolby Vision, OLED, LG OLED. It kicks ass in here. But I gotta wait. I haven't calibrated it all because I have to have everything in here first. But I've decided to pull out my 4K discs and keep them separate. So but they're alphabetized. Yeah. But just 4K and Blu-ray is separate. Yeah, I mean, I think as a collector myself, I can understand alphabetizing or organizing by aesthetics, because like the Arrow box sets are so cool with that matte finish. Yeah. The Second Sight stuff is different. Scream Factory or Shout Factory is different. And I can understand that, but then it becomes like, how do you end up dealing with all of those different kinds of things? I just feel that alphabetization, I kind of like the mishmash of it all, where it's just titled, because to me, if you've got ADD, I can understand how it drives somebody insane that I do that. Trust me, I'm I get it. But that's the way I do it.
Okay.
How do you do it?
mostly I try to put the studio labels together, but then, like you said, the spine is sometimes the writing is upside down on the upside, They can't keep it in one way, unfortunately. So alphabetized would be probably the best way to do it. If you just then have to look through for a title, this will probably be the best way to do it. Channel Surf, shiny is good. Exactly, Channel Surf. Shiny is good.
So you finally got your steelbook.
Yeah. Charlie the Unicorn, wait, where I have it. I hope here it is. He said, considering our treasure of
that
the
is
Four
not
Crowns.
Coming at you, by the way. I was wrong.
Yeah. He said, the original Schnäppchen Hunter, treasure of the Four Crowns. He probably was the original Schnäppchen Hunter.
It's true.
I'm Joey Day. I'm waiting for Double Dragon in 4K. Joey, me too, because I still have the Laserdisc of it.
Wow. Look at that.
Agent Silver Fox, I didn't think there'd ever be a remake of West Side Story, but as it's been done, it got me thinking, do you guys think Warriors will get a remake? Probably don't think so. Couldn't imagine.
Here's the funny thing about the thing about the Warriors, and I love the Warriors. I can't wait to get my new disc, the Warriors disc. I've got a package coming from Australia. The thing about the Warriors, if you think about it, the use of a gun in that movie was almost like sacrilegious. Like gangs would never use guns. The only people that use guns were pussies. Like when Cyrus was assassinated by the Rogues, and even the Lizzies had a gun, but the Warriors would never use guns, and the Baseball Furies. Now, I think it would be really hard to remake the Warriors with social media, with weapons. Everyone's carrying GATs or like AR-15s or whatever. It would just be a very different movie. The one thing I love the Warriors. It's one of those movies I've probably seen 100 times. As a matter of fact, how about this, buddy? I like my 6 scale figures, but look at this. I didn't know look at this metal box. This is Mezco. And this is so awesome. It comes with Swan and Ajax. And there's so much cool stuff in here. And on the bottom, it comes with Swan and Ajax. And it comes with 2 of the Baseball Furies too underneath. And this is one. Great.
So 4 figures in total.
4 figures. And now I don't, you know me, I don't normally go for 12th scale, but with the 1/12th line here that Mezco does, plus, this is a metal box. I couldn't not get it. So, yeah.
Okay. So,
but I just don't. Think
I don't think you like you. I don't think you could remake that movie, but okay.
Before he passed away, Tony Scott was going to do a remake of the Warriors.
Oh,
now I'm not saying it couldn't be done, but I just don't see. It would be really hard. You'd have to turn it into some kind of a, I don't know, something different.
Perhaps more for a streaming service than a theatrical release, perhaps. But I don't know. So. Michaelito was here. I love disaster porn, but Moonfall was a special kind of disaster.
It was definitely. By the way, here's Sebastian.
Oh, hello, you.
How you doing, buddy? Sebastian is a standard bred poodle. He's going to be about 60 pounds, and he's
the only one that I never heard, Rob.
He's 16 weeks old. He's such a good boy, aren't you, buddy? Yeah, you're so good.
Then. Strangely enough, my boss, Patrick, was in the chat and he said, Schnäppchen, it's now officially a trademark. Considering our show, it is.
It's true. There you go.
Mark O'Brien, I got a Panasonic one, Rob got, but the luminance on the Dolby Vision on my Sony TV wasn't great with it. So I got the Sony X700 with Dolby Vision. Haven't looked back. So he was not too thrilled with the Panasonic, strangely enough.
Uh-oh.
Michaelito.
Make those adjustments.
Yeah. Miguelito, I've been slowly collecting steelbooks, but I haven't bought a player yet. All Rob and Dieter's fault. We luckily take the blame, Miguelito, and I always, considering DVD, Laserdisc, Blu-ray, I always had software first before the hardware came in the house.
Too.
So you are right on track. Okay. We talked a little bit last week about the Halo show on Paramount Plus. Jin Taisen, Halo show is lame. Lord Toth is here. Halo is a travesty. As a big fan of Halo, having played through all the games, this show is awful. Thomas Mitchell, I didn't hate Halo, but there were some huge missteps. The writing was all over the place and there wasn't enough Spartan versus Covenant action. Exactly, Thomas Mitchell, there wasn't enough action between those two fractions. Eucalyptus, Rob and Dieter, you guys should watch It's finally on Netflix.
Oh yes,
I have it in my watch list, Eucalyptus, but I never gotten together with the Bollywood movies. There were always a little bit.
This might be a different one for you.
Okay. I will try. I'm really
highly
looking forward to it.
Deets.
Yeah,
highly recommend it.
I know it, Rob. I will try it. It is on Netflix. But considering 3 hours, is it 3 hours, Rob?
Yeah.
You have seen it already?
All Bollywood movies are 3 hours.
Okay. Why do I even ask? You have seen it already?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Everybody was talking about
I will try to squeeze it in this week. Sorry, Rob. You were saying?
No, everybody was telling me about it, and it it played in theaters, and I didn't go, but it's coming back for like a 1 day only engagement. So.
Okay. Paul in Long Beach, I really enjoy when Dieter doesn't enjoy a movie. It usually brings me joy. There you go. Talking about Uncharted. Charlie the Unicorn, give me more Lara Croft. No more Uncharted. Exactly, Charlie. I'm right with you there. So Alicia Vikander, make it happen. Come on. You need a sequel. If Dieter, the king of trash, doesn't like a movie, that is saying something about Uncharted. Eucalyptus, you guys seen the trailer for the new George Miller movie? Rob, help me out. George Miller, new movie?
3,000 Years of Longing. George Miller, director of the Mad Max franchise.
Yeah.
One of our great directors, Lorenzo's Oil, Witches of Eastwick. It looks great. Idris Elba plays a genie, a djinn, and Tilda Swinton's in it. The trailer's amazing. Cannot wait.
Nice.
Cannot wait. Bring it on.
Charlie the Unicorn, Hobbs and Shaw was awesome. Exactly, Charlie. It was not for Rob, but for us too. Okay. Victor Fontaine, laugh out loud. A much different and honest opinion on the Uncharted movie versus what he said on the Cambier show. Well, Victor, on the John Cambier show, it's, calls your speculation, lack of foundation on that show. Here, you will get the honest truth. Okay.
I have to temper what I say on the John Cambier show but Ray Ora loved it. Ray Ora. Look, you know what? The thing about the Uncharted movie to me was, like, I thought I liked the big set piece at the end with the boats. But one of the things about the Uncharted game for me was the Uncharted game. When I first that was the first video game that I ever put in that I felt that it was the closest thing to playing a movie. I love the character. I love the voice acting. I love the character design. But the Uncharted game, it had a heightened sense of reality. Like, there was a sense of awe and wonder when you would go into the jungle. The jungle was a little too overgrown, kind of like Skull Island from Peter Jackson's King Kong. And I just thought that the Uncharted movie, it had no sense of wonder in it. You're wandering around the streets of like Spain and we got to get right underneath these city streets. It wasn't transportive at all. And then when they finally took these Magellan's boats or whatever, and they're just destroying these priceless artifacts. And it was a movie to me that needed a sense of wonder. And I know that seems sort of strange to say, but I really do think it was too grounded, too down to earth, and I found it really disappointing. I mean, when it was enough of a diversion, but once you ruminate on these things, it's like,
yeah, exactly. If you think about it a little longer. Eucalyptus. Did Dieter ever got scammed? Every goddamn week, Eucalyptus. Okay. And last one, Shakira. Sniper Elite 3 is where I started playing the franchise. I'm about to start doing a play through the whole series, and I have started, of course, Sniper Elite 5. Really digging it. Okay. Great game. Not for the graphics, but what I like is, of course, stealthily going through the surroundings and listening to the German soldiers talking about their daily business. So this was the live chat, Rob, from last week.
Well, that's good. Good live chat. There's not a lot of news this week.
Okay.
There's, in terms of stuff coming out, like the 9th configuration, which or AKA Twinkle Twinkle Killer Kane, is coming out from Scream Factory, which is cool. William Peter Blatty directed that before he directed Exorcist 3. Kino did A Force of One. The Chuck Norris movie, A Force of One, is coming out, which I guess some people might want. But there's not a lot of great stuff other than, Good Guys Wear Black is coming out. I think that was the first Chuck Norris movie. I will definitely, I will get that. Then, of course, Eureka out of the UK is releasing the Jackie Chan Super Cop trilogy in a box set.
Yeah,
which is pretty
4K,
cool. Yeah, and
4K.
that's something I would definitely want to pick up. So that's very cool. And then that's about it. There's stuff coming out, but nothing. Secrets of Dumbledore was released in 4K, but that's not anything we didn't know was happening. So
I think
it
will be on HBO Max next week, I think.
Yeah, and of course, in terms of best-selling discs, obviously it's pretty much all about the Batman and all that, but that's good. Which,
as expected.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have some super chats and tips are coming in. Chloe Fanning sends in a tip and says, with the traditional Memorial Day races today of the Indy 500 and tonight's Coca-Cola 600, seeing as we now have the 4K of Days of Thunder, are we going to ever get a movie on the Indianapolis 500? Do the first Indy 500 race a movie from its beginnings? Look, I have to tell you, Ford v Ferrari, which was about Le Mans, I loved it. I would love to see. I think the problem with car racing movies, though, I mean, obviously we had, was it Driven?
Exactly.
The Sylvester Stallone, your boy Rennie Harlan. Was it Driven? Was that? Or
exactly, Rob. Right. Okay. You're right. Driven.
I'm representing for you. I'm giving Rennie a little props. And then, of course, you had Rush.
Exactly.
I
totally forgot.
I like Rush. And then
Formula One.
Yeah, and you go back and you watch Grand Prix or Le Mans. I still really like those. I own both of those movies. But I think it's really difficult to make car racing movies because you need the cars and you need to stage the races. And that becomes logistically difficult to do. So, I mean, I think it'd be cool to do that kind of a movie. I certainly would watch it. I loved car racing as a kid growing up, and I collected die-cast F1 cars, starting with my John Player Special, my Lotus, my black Corgi John Player Special. I love that car. So, awesome. I mean, that'd be cool. Our boy Justin Toner, moderator extraordinaire, says, hi, Robin Dieter. Kino Lorber blew my mind today by announcing that they're releasing a guilty pleasure movie of mine, 1989's Leviathan, with Peter Weller in 4K. God bless physical media. Yeah, it's crazy. Have you or Dieter bought anything from the Vinegar Syndrome sale? I have not. The Black Friday sale, I have not bought anything. I need to go. I haven't pre-ordered my Thriller: A Cruel Picture in 4K. I got to do that.
I have some pre-orders, but not particularly bought something on the Black Friday sale yet.
Yeah, I haven't done that either. Marv Dogger 2 has some great news. Great news from Second Sight this week. They have received the raw 4K scan of The Hitcher from Warner Brothers and can now start their restoration. Now, this is very interesting what I find very interesting about this, and it's funny, I don't know if we were talking to George Feltenstein on this show or I was talking to him just personally, but it was really interesting because he didn't know much about Second Sight, this company, and he knew that they were preparing this raw 4K. And I said, bruh, Second Sight's the shit. And he's like, really? He was curious because, Second Sight's a small company, but they do incredible work. And of course, they will forever be my favorite home video company of all time for putting out that Dawn of the Dead box set. Yeah. And everything they've done, I mean, they're the kind of company that I think that you should just buy their stuff because, they're putting out The Witch. They're doing this
Drive.
I thought it was interesting that so Warner Brothers will scan a negative in 4K.
Yeah.
And so what happens, for those of you who don't know, you can scan a negative and you do a wet gate scan of it and it looks good, but that doesn't mean you've gone in and you've taken out the imperfections and things like that. They've given you a raw scan. I love the idea that the studios that own these movies will do raw 4K scans of their catalog titles, which is great, but they won't necessarily restore them. And then they'll allow other companies that license them out, like Second Sight. So Second Sight's people can then go in and restore the films the way they want to. Now, if there's torn frames or there's something bad with the negative, I would hope that the studio would take care of that before they sent it to Second Sight. Because if you don't have access to the negative, sometimes you can't fix those problems. But I do like that idea. And of course, Second Sight, you got me the German media book of The Hitcher.
Yeah.
Which is pretty
from
good.
My perspective, Rob, it's a nice HD transfer. It really looked HD to me. I don't know about where this master came from. I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just happy to have it. Like The Hitcher, which was written by
because it didn't look like we wouldn't get any new Hitcher version at all.
I love that Second Sight's doing it. They'll do a great box set. I mean, The Hitcher is a tremendous film.
Yeah,
it's a really, really great movie. So that's very exciting, Marv Dogger, to hear that. That was great.
Good news.
Stubble McShave says, when you're going to order the new Top Gun movie, avoid the two mockbusters, Top Gunner from 2020, when Top Gun Maverick was first scheduled for release, and Top Gunner Danger Zone from 2022. It's okay. I'll pass up those things. Wow. Okay, this one comes from 3D Trekker. Sends in a super chat and says, "Hi, Rob and Dieter. I love the show. Just FYI, Rob, I am deep into the process of making a very high quality 6th scale original series bridge from Star Trek for the new Exo 6 Star Trek figures. If interested, where can I send you pictures? Thank you." Okay. 3D Trekker. First of all, if interested, come on.
Do you have to ask?
Come on, dude. And I don't want pictures. Here's what you're going to do. If you're making an entire bridge, an original series bridge for the figures, you're not going to make one. You're going to make 2. I'll kick in. Come on, brother. Help a fellow fan out. You can't show me pictures of something and dangle it in front of me if I can't have it. It's terrible.
Bad behavior.
I want it. That's a
Get
dream to have a 6 scale TOS bridge for my figures that can light up. Come on,
but the
man.
Playmobil was awesome too, Rob, on Insta.
Dude, isn't that awesome?
Exactly.
I have to tell. I finally, thanks to Martino Simoni, he bought Az and I each one a Playmobil Enterprise, and I had it. I knew we were moving, so I didn't know what to do with it. But by the way, it's going to be hanging it comes with a hanging a thing you can hang
mechanism. Okay,
it's going to be hanging right here, and it even has an AR app, so you can turn it on and make sound. It's awesome. It's
great.
Awesome.
Great. Patrick, my boss got the Playmobil Knight Rider set that is new on the market.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So 3D Trekker, come on, bro. But if you want to slide into my DMs and send me something, or go to the Post-Geek Singularity.com website and just send me a letter there. That's probably the best way. I can't wait. Send me pictures. Terrier's here.
Terry.
Alphabet. Here it comes. Alphabetic. Okay. No, just no. When browsing your own collection, one does not feel like watching a movie starting with B today. Genre and subgenre sorting. Dude, I'm sorry. No. I mean, I already know my genres in my mind. I mean, it's and if I go alphabetically and I'm like, oh, today I want to watch, I don't know, The Lure, the Polish movie, The Lure. I know it's under L. So I'll go get it. I don't have to be like, oh, is it under Criterion? Is it under Mermaid Horror? What is it under? No, I know. Stubble says, I might get the science fiction classics from Juniper Books and maybe the Shakespeare books and the Lord of the Ring books. It's the same company that made the Wheel of Time covers that I have. Well, I'll check that out. I love these kinds.
So it should fit nicely.
Yeah, put that in there. So I'm gonna put that. I'll put this link in. We don't normally sell books,
okay,
but why shouldn't we? Because books are good. So there it is. I put that link that Stubble sent in live chat. Check that out if you haven't already. Fernando Barrero. I saw Fernando last night, but so Fernando, for those of you who don't know, Fernando Barrero is a longtime imagination connoisseur. And as always, when he writes in or we have any kind of communication, if he's on a member chat or whatever, the first thing I have to ask Fernando is, Fernando, how's your mother? Hope she's well. Please give her my best. Hello, gut Herren. Is that German? I don't know.
Good, yeah.
Good
probably,
Herren
but
says
I will probably can't go back that far.
As your physical media collection keeps growing, have you noticed either a particular director, producer, or artist that all of a sudden you realize makes up a substantial portion of your collection? Someone you underestimated? That's a good question. What do you think?
Ooh. Someone I have more than I would
yeah, that you just have acquired discs and you realize, oh, I really like this guy.
Tough in the spur of the moment. Think about.
It's true.
Someone.
I just spilled. I would say that, because, like, I mean, if anything, my favorite directors, I want to have all of their movies. Yeah. You know, like there's no director that sneaks up on me because I know that I'll buy all Spielberg movies with the exception of Hook. I don't own Hook.
I just can give you an example, considering Rob has seen it too. Why Don't You Just Die was such an amazing and entertaining movie for me that I
you put that on my radar. I wouldn't have known about that movie had you not.
That I immediately looked out for the next one from Kirill, you know. And now he's still on my radar. What he
I wouldn't have known he made another movie until I learned about it on this show.
That's why we have it. Here you will learn about the stuff outside the MCU and the rest.
Yeah. No, totally. 100%, which is one of the great joys of this program. That's it. We're caught up with super chats now. Yep.
Okay.
And why don't we show some shit? What'd you buy?
Show some shit. Okay.
Come on, Trash Panda. You know people want to see what garbage you're putting in your mental gullet.
I have watched some of the movies I showed last week. And one of those movies was See For Me.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
Really enjoyed it. It's about a blind girl, Rob, who does some cat sitting for someone. And she uses an app called See For Me, where you get an operator who, through our smartphone technology, leads you through the house. And there's some shenanigans happening at the house. So really nice really nice little thriller. See For Me. Really little recommendation. Considering last week I showed it, Rob, and I totally had a blast with it. I don't know why you don't have bought it, Rob. I watched Wormwood Apocalypse, which is the sequel to the first one. Wormwood.
Okay, now I haven't seen either one of those. Should I get those?
Why not, Rob? Why not, Rob? Why not?
Okay. You've twisted. I feel my arms being twisted by a German, but
this was the English one. It's the same directors, 2 Australian movies, and it says, Rob, like you see here, Mad Max meets Dawn of the Dead, and that's correct, Rob.
Who are the directors?
Tough name, Rob. Let me just see. It's a little bit reflective here.
Is it brothers?
I think so, Rob. I think so.
The Spirit Brothers or whatever?
Not the Spears brothers, but Kia.
Either way, all right. You know what? I've wanted to see those movies.
This is a little bit older, I believe, 2014. So it took a little time for the sequel to come up, but I totally had a blast, Rob. Nice practical effects, just 90 minutes, quick in and out, nicely done. The sequel, and I really enjoyed the first one too, but it's a little bit back in the memory banks. But totally 2 great recommendation. Wormwood from Australia, first one, Road of the Dead, and the second one, Apocalypse. Nicely done for me. Nicely done. And then before the show, I always watch a movie. I showed it last week, and the Koreans didn't disappoint me again. The Witness. I watched The Witness this afternoon, and it really started immediately after 5 minutes. I was already hooked. You have a guy driving to a gas station. The clerk comes out, fills up, and you hear a bump in the trunk. I don't want to say more. Great movie, The Witness from Korea, and it's not new. It's a little bit older. Some Asian movies take some time before they get released. I watched The Witness. Nicely done. And then let me just see, Rob. I show some stuff. I told you last week, sometimes I learn stuff about the movie. And probably my good friend, which I get to know through Let's Get Physical, David Kogel, who is like me, a little bit fan of sharks, and probably says the same thing as I did about Mutant Blast, because we learned dolphins are motherfuckers, Rob, through the Mutant Blast from Troma,
Speaking of David Kogel, since you brought him up, I received this in the mail for my birthday. For my birthday, and David Kogel sent me a drawing, one of his drawings.
Nice.
Of Lieutenant Gay Ellis from UFO.
Nice.
Because I'm a huge UFO fan. I will put this on my Jerry Anderson shelf. This is very cool. And he writes to Rob, happy birthday, Lieutenant Ellis from Jerry Anderson's UFO. And then he writes credit. Thanks for all the entertainment over the years, David Kogel. So David, this is very sweet of you. And I have to hand it to you for doing this little drawing for me. People know that I love my UFO. So thank you for that, David.
Nice. So like I said, David Kogel and me probably on the same page. Consider Mutant Blast. Dolphins are motherfuckers. And Rob, my first new pickup this week, I learned something new. Even from the title, Rob, because it says vegans taste better. Veganer schmecken besser. It's a French movie. I hope some sort of black horror comedy. And it says here, Rob, first killing, then grilling.
I just want to point out that I've never met a girl that said vegans taste better, if you know what I'm saying. Just saying.
But a Cat in the Back, Rob. Haven't seen it. Veganer schmecken besser.
I'd watch that. Besser.
From our crazy people in France, vegans taste better. No.
Not according to the girls I know.
Next Cat in the Back. It's just called Student Body. Kill me if you can. I think it's the daughter of Kevin Smith is in it.
Oh, okay.
Cat in the Back. Cat in the Back, Rob. I don't know. That we will see when I watched it. Okay, this was a little bit of my first haul. I didn't have much this week.
Well, I got some things I'm excited about.
Okay.
First thing that I got, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Now, this is coming out from Paramount. This is a 4K John Ford, obviously one of his classic Westerns. This film it's an incredible movie, but it comes with a very cool, like Paramount's been doing this very cool O-ring and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's 4K. So I was
nice.
like, how could I not get that? I mean, it's part of their series. I wish they would release all of their movies like this in 4K, but what can you do? Now, here's something very interesting. You're going to like this. So I'll just say I got three. I got 3 Paramount 4K titles this week. I got Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. I got The Sum of All Fears, because this movie, do not sleep on this movie. I'm a huge Tom Clancy fan. Love Hunt for Red October. Patriot Games. I love Clear and Present Danger. This movie, while perhaps different than the book, this is a really, really, really good movie.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, Rob.
Phil Alden Robinson directed this film. I love this movie. And this finally came out in 4K. By the way, Clear and Present Danger is not yet on 4K unless it was in the box set, which I didn't get, which I should have. I don't know. But, and then the third title that I got from Paramount was Beverly Hills Cop 2, which is a great sequel. You know, I love this. But now here's the really interesting thing that I found with these titles. If you look closely at them, they were all manufactured in Germany. Now, in North America, we don't have the closest facility that can produce discs is in Mexico.
Yeah.
And I had never seen, or maybe I just wasn't looking for it, but for whatever reason, as I was looking at these discs, it stuck out to me. I think on the back.
Yeah. The sticker, little sticker.
Yeah, there's a little sticker that says manufactured in Germany. I mean, you know, it's kind of, on one hand, it's depressing to me that America, the United States, doesn't have a disc facility. I see that as a metaphor for our entire country. But on the other hand, to know that these discs are being manufactured in Germany, Germany has some of the highest quality control standards in the world. It's really difficult to pass German QC. So I was happy to see that all 3 of these movies, these are Paramount titles, that they are manufactured in Germany. Now, I don't want to read too much into it. I'm sure George Feltenstein would have more insight than I do, but it does make me feel pretty good that Paramount is aggressively pursuing physical media and that they're going to Germany to have their discs produced.
Yeah.
So that's
I remember one title, Rob, but I can't remember which title from Paramount it was, which it said made in Germany. Or it was on the Let's Get Physical Media Facebook page with, I believe, Hansel and Gretel, the title.
Right.
Which was made in Germany.
Which 4K, you got me. It's funny that funny you say that, because I happen to have it right here.
I mean not the other one, Rob.
The other one. I just used this one.
Help me.
Because this is just a Blu-ray. What are you gonna do?
With Hawkeye. Damn it, the actor. Help me out in the chat.
Jeremy Renner
and Gemma Arterton.
And then
Hansel and Gretel.
By the way, I did get the Batman. You know, I got this one because it's got a separate disc with the special features on it. I got that one. I didn't get the Steelbook. You know, whatever. I got Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza.
Yeah. Me too, Rob. Me too.
Did you get that?
And I even if it misses the back, I did switch out the cover for just this one. So I missed the technical specs here, but I like this one.
Yeah, that's cool.
I swapped
and that's cool with an O-ring. I'm surprised that this wasn't in 4K, however.
Yeah, me too. Unfortunately, haven't seen it. Didn't get around.
It's good. Yeah, you know, nice. I didn't love it, but
and it has a little poster.
Yeah, it comes with a little poster, which is cool. But I'd much rather have the film in 4K.
Yeah.
And then I did get this. You know, I had to get Extreme Prejudice, which is exciting because I like this movie a lot. I'm a huge Walter Hill fan. Speaking of the Warriors, and then I have a special edition. I don't know if I should show it now. Oh, there you go. Why not? Arrow put out something that was irresistible for us fans of erotic thrillers and all of that.
Wait a little bit. Oh, we got different ones.
Different ones.
Oh. So mine comes with a steelbook.
I didn't get the steelbook. So you got the steelbook. So you have the steelbook one. You know what? I have to say, one of the things I really like about these matte finish Arrow releases
And the smell.
Again, first of all, this is in
smell,
4K.
The smell.
The smell is amazing, but I do love the feel of it. But I really like their booklets. And for whatever reason, I mean, their booklets are pretty, they're like Criterion in that I know people don't like to read, but they've got still photography and stuff. But there was 2 really good essays, I thought, in this book.
Ooh,
and
nice.
I quite enjoyed them. And I read both. And of course, it does come with a poster of this artwork.
And Rob, as far as I know, no replacement program at the moment.
Oh, is there something wrong with this disc?
No, I'm just saying. No replacement at the moment.
Yeah, but maybe they got this. But I just think it's funny. It's so funny to me that that's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, it's funny. I kind of like when they do interesting artwork. I mean, I don't think this is necessarily the greatest artwork in the world, but I do.
Well, I like it too, Rob. And here's some lobby cards in.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't get those.
Haven't seen it in a long time. Really looking forward to watching it again.
No, it's
memories always fading.
I just think it's great that we're getting these box sets, whether it's True Romance or Wild Things. Yeah, God bless Arrows. So that's my haul for the week. That's what I picked up.
I have 2 left, Rob, to show. Considering we talked a little bit about last week, considering the encoding, people say are not up to the test, considering the craft. So I will check out if there is a replacement. But I will check the disc in general just to see if I can see it. If I can see it. With the encoding. And I got 1 left, but for this one, I have to thank our friend in Norway, Terje, because he did send me a tip for a movie, and I was a little bit hesitant to get it. And he said, okay, you douche. If you don't get it yourself, I buy it for you, And I don't know if you have heard, Rob, about the Norwegian movie, The Innocents.
Is that the remake of The Innocents about the kids?
Is that a remake, Rob?
Yeah, well, it's a new version of Turn of the Screw. Maybe, I don't know, but I have heard of the movie. I think I saw the trailer for the film. Yeah, I don't own the film, but did Terje send it to you?
No, this is the same director, but the movie before he made The Innocents. I'm really looking forward to that one. This movie he made before, it's called Velma. So I don't know anything about it, but I have to thank Terry. It's an O-ring. And this is from the same director who made The Innocents, which will come out later here in Germany, end of July, I believe. So thanks, Terry, for this one, but haven't checked it yet, but I will get back to you when I do,
We just got sent in a quite a large tip from Irwin Allen's hairdresser. Now, since Irwin Allen's hairdresser brought this up, my good friend Jeff Bond wrote an unbelievable book on the career of Irwin Allen. It's a beautiful hardcover book. I don't know if there's any left, but if you're an Irwin Allen, of course, was the great producer who made TV shows like Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Land of the Giants and Time Tunnel. Yeah. But he also famously made disaster movies. And Irwin Allen's hairdresser says, just to let you know, When Time Ran Out is getting restored in 4K. Now, first of all, I find that amusing because and Time Ran Out is not one of Irwin Allen's finest hours. But I don't, if it is getting restored in 4K, I'll buy that. I mean, I don't know if it is. I mean, I want to
I bet that for $1.
I would buy it probably for more, more than $1. but I'm When Time Ran Out, I thought I had to find out. It came out in 1980, the same year as The Final Countdown. And what's great about Irwin Allen movies, check out this cast, dude. Listen to the people who are in When Time Ran Out. Paul Newman, William Holden, Edward Albert, Red Buttons, Jacqueline Bisset, Burgess Meredith, James Franciscus, Ernest Borgnine, Pat Morita. I mean, this is
an ensemble.
This is, I mean, that's what Irwin Allen would do. And it was nominated actually for 1 Oscar. And it was nominated for Best Costume Design. But I'm telling you, when time ran out, if that truly is being restored for, it's interesting because Warner Brothers released it as part of the Paul Newman film series.
Okay.
I'm sure he loved that on DVD. So let's hear it for When Time Ran Out. I mean, who wouldn't? And of course, James Goldstone, which is very interesting. James Goldstone directed the film When Time Ran Out, and he directed 2 episodes of the original Star Trek.
Ooh,
yes, he did.
Okay.
He directed the second pilot, the one that got picked up where No Man Has Gone Before, and he also directed What Are Little Girls Made Of? He directed When Time Ran Out, and for that alone, you must buy it if it comes out.
Kudos.
I don't know, Irwin Allen's hairdresser, if that's true or not, but thank you for bringing that to our attention, and I will buy it because of you. Go, nice. James Goldstone.
So on, have you some super chats left?
No, we are caught up with super chats.
Some stuff that I have seen this week on streaming, Rob. I have finished The Flight Attendant, the 2nd season.
Oh, how was it?
Kelly Uko.
Elizabeth really loved the first.
Yeah, the second one is a little bit convoluted. I can't tell you. I can give you a synopsis from it. It was a little bit all over the place, but I love the characters. So and this show was through the weekly. I would have loved to binge the episodes, because I was always trying to caught up with the show. What is going on? But I still had a good time with the second season. Not as good as the first one, but a good one. I finished that. Then I watched The Bad Guys, because The Bad Guys is available here as a stream, but you have to pay, because The Bad Guys was, strangely enough, got a really early release here before it got released in the States.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Rob, for me, only okay. The reviews are really great. Look, I was really looking forward to it. But considering animation, you hope to get a lot of lull moments out of it. No, you couldn't foresee how the story will be going. There was 1 or 2 twists I didn't see coming, but the rest was pretty standard. And the animation was a little bit tough to get used to, considering the eyes from the animals. So for me, it was fine, but I was hoping for more, considering The Bad Guys. But which totally surprised me was Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Rob. I quite enjoyed the first one, but I'm not really a Sonic fan or Sonic guy. But I really enjoyed the first one, but I even loved the second one more.
Wow, okay.
More action, better effects. Jim Carrey was great. And there is the side story with the wedding, which for me, it wasn't too distracting. Some people thought the side story with the wedding is a little bit distracting. But I really had a great time. Great enough to say, Rob, I will buy Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on 4K. Yeah. It's strangely enough, Rob, because I wasn't really on board with Sonic at all. Even the first movie, I'm not really interested. But I liked the first one when I watched it. And the second one for me was even better. Great sound design, loved it. So this was Sonic the Hedgehog. The Bad Guys had me, and of course there was this new show on Disney Plus. What was it called? Leia Organa.
The Leia Organa show, the Riva show, the
Riva
show about the ladies.
It's okay. The first 2 episodes, and I like the episode 2 more than the start of the show.
I can't go with you there, buddy.
Yeah, I know. The only thing for me, Kumail didn't work for me, considering sometimes some actors, what are considering, I don't know why they have to bring in these comedians. For me, it doesn't fit to see Kumail in Star Wars. It did fit in Eternals with his role, but here for me it was distracting.
I agree with you. I mean, I have to say, I like the first episode quite a bit, but I think the problem with this show is you put Camille Nanjiani in this movie or in this series, verisimilitude is shattered.
Exactly.
It's shattered because I'm like, oh, it's blah. I don't want that. I mean, one of the things that I think is really important about Star Wars is and here's what I would say to everybody who, if you ever get to make a Star Wars movie or a show or whatever, the only place you should ever look is to Star Wars itself. Because one of the things that worked about Star Wars was, aside from Alec Guinness, whose star power worked in that role because it anchored the movie. If Han and Luke were played by, if Han was played by Robert Redford, it wouldn't have worked. Yeah. Harrison Ford wasn't as well known. So as soon as Camille Nanjiani comes on the you're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, well, okay. Now we're watching some kind of, and I love him as a performer. I loved him in Eternals. I liked him in,
but sometimes, the top that doesn't fit the bottom.
and also, the goofy scene where young Leia is running away from the bounty hunters.
Oh, Rob.
I mean, look, this was right out of some Disney animated movie. I'm like, first of all, I understand. Like, here's the thing. If you're going to do that, I like the actress that played young Leia, but God, make it serious. Make it. You've got Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers playing a villain, and I'm like, I like Flea, but again, took me right out of it. I'm like, oh my God, it's Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm like,
totally on board with you, Rob. Totally.
Why do this? And it undercuts the verisimilitude. And I think that a lot of the Disney shows, and I think it's possibly because Dave Filoni comes out of animation. And I think, like, I don't think, I've always been amazed at how animators think. And the set pieces they design, they think differently than straightforward filmmaking. I mean, animation has a certain thing. And I feel that what the Disney shows are suffering, and this is true of The Mandalorian as well as Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi, is there is a push and pull between the sensibilities that are making these stories. Obi-Wan Kenobi, what people want from these shows is a straightforward character study of a man who's 10 years into, he lost the greatest battle of his life. The Jedi were disgraced. This is heavy stuff. And that's what we want to see. We want to see Obi-Wan Kenobi coming to grips with this. One, we don't want to see young Princess Leia outrunning bounty hunters in the woods outside of her house. And two, we certainly don't want to see young Princess Leia making Obi-Wan Kenobi chase her through the streets of a foreign planet that he's just liberated her from kidnappers. I mean, you look at this stuff and you're like, okay, tonally, this doesn't work. And I think that the problem is what it really needs, what Disney Star Wars really needs, it desperately needs somebody at the top who's overseeing the tone of all of this. Yeah. Because between Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, you watch that. I've never seen the Book of Boba Fett might to me stand as one of the great examples of something that does not give the audience what they were looking for. And, the templates they're drawing upon. I mean, if you're going to do Book of Boba Fett, look to the movies of Michael Mann, or look to Jean-Pierre Melville. As a matter of fact, if I'd made a Book of Boba Fett TV series, I would have done just that. I would have gone to movies like Thief and Heat and even Miami Vice and Collateral. And then I would have looked at Jean-Pierre Melville's movies like Le Samurai or The Red Circle or even Army of Shadows. And I would have been like, that's what we're going to base. I mean, George Lucas was basing Star Wars on Kurosawa movies, The Hidden Fortress and Seven Samurai. And I feel that the people that are making Star Wars now, they descend into the goofy way too much. And Obi-Wan Kenobi, what people wanted was a serious character study. And what we get is something that's tonally inconsistent. And I mean, the Jedi are dead. They've been slaughtered. The Empire won. This is some dire straits that we find ourselves in.
I love the opening of the show, Rob.
I did too.
You know, and I don't know if you go with me. I found the costumes of the Inquisitors a little bit plasticky for my taste.
I agree. A little bit plasticky, and I mean, I like
we've got the strange chase scene in the first one, and in the second episode, the chase scene was some transitions didn't fit there as well. You know, she saved Leia. He was on the roof. Reva was following him, and then he is immediately down in the streets. But Reva doesn't show up at all. You know, for I don't know 5 minutes. What was she doing? Doing on the roof. The transition there was. You know. But for me, it was just to being not on Tatooine for at least one episode was a nice turn, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that the Star Wars TV shows are at war with Disney's corporate interests and what the creatives want to do, and you need somebody. I think there needs to be. I hate to say it, a Kevin Feige. Somebody who understands where we're at. I mean, Filoni and Favreau are good filmmakers, and I think Deborah Chow did a good job directing, but these shows need auteurs behind them. I really feel that they do. I think they're just all over the place. And I will dare say, even though I like The Mandalorian, I don't love The Mandalorian.
Yeah. And I don't know, have you seen Jeremy Chan's take on Obi-Wan?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
He had a pretty good idea. You had in the second episode the clone trooper, you know, who was out of his programming, and Jeremy Chance had the great idea. As soon as the APB gets out to catch Ewan, you know, that the clone trooper would be reactivated. You know, he would dump his helmet, all the coins, and would go hunting him. You know,
that's a great idea.
Yeah, I thought it too, from Jeremy Chance. You know, to get the clone trooper back on his old programming, to get rid of the Jedi. You know, it was a great idea from my perspective. So, for only 4 episodes left to go, let's see where we will end up. And
by the way,
Irwin
Allen's hairdresser sends in another tip and says, "Great, thanks for the tip. I will have Martino look for the book." Martino Sulmoni is like the patron saint of this channel, and I have to say that because now that I'm in a permanent place and I actually have, like, I know where everything's going to go in the Raw Observatory. I want that the Playmobil Enterprise always hanging, but it's probably going to be somewhere around here, you know, and the fact that whenever I want to, I can use the app and turn it on.
Make some noise.
Because it's awesome. It's just awesome. And Martino, for those of you who don't know, Martino Simoni made 2 episodes of Play Trek that are up on the Post-Geek Singularity channel. And his 3rd episode that he's in production on looks epic. It looks just epic. So I can't wait to see it. But that toy is one of the great, like, you know, Playmobil is a very European thing.
Yeah.
The first time I ever saw it was my friend Mike he got it in when we were in junior high school, the Playmobil pirate ship. Yeah. Which is really, really cool. But the engineering, it was somebody made a YouTube video about how much fun it was to put that thing together, between all the stickers that are on the bridge and like putting the wires, you know, through the ship. And it was beautifully constructed. It's a beautiful toy. I wish I had it. If I had that toy when I was like 6 years old or 7 or 8 years old, it would have been the greatest toy I ever owned. And now, as a middle-aged man with one foot in the grave, it has become one of the greatest toys I've ever owned.
But luckily, after Obi-Wan, there was Stranger Things, put up the ball, picked up the slack. I only watched, now it's episode 3, totally love it, Rob. From my perspective,
I have to tell you, obviously the first episode of Stranger Things 4 was pretty epic. It was over an hour long.
The sound is great, Rob. Luke is great.
Yeah, and the kids, the intercutting between the basketball game and the D&D game was great. I mean, and then I have to tell you, there's a kill in that first episode, and then it was repeated again. That was awesome.
Exactly, Rob. Exactly.
It was a ruthless, brutal, horrific kill, and I was like, oh my god! Even Elizabeth, she was watching it this morning before we went live.
Nice.
When I was watching it the first episode again, and she texted me right before we went on. She's like, "What the fuck?"
So I'm down with the first 3 episodes. I watch one each day because I love that they are lengthier than usual, but I'm totally loving it.
That's great. Yeah, I'm really loving it too.
Stranger Things, Obi, we have. Okay, I think we have everything. Okay, the closing arguments of the trial was on Friday too, Rob. So now let's see how the jury will decide for Johnny, for Amber, for none of these two. I have no idea, but the closing arguments were on Friday. And it was halftime, considering Better Call Saul. What an amazing cliffhanger, if you have seen it, Rob.
Well, I have not. Alexander Wilson just sends in a super chat and says, the best prequel made in the last few years is Better Call Saul. The last episode was amazing. It does its own thing, but also enhances the original show. Like Breaking Bad, I watched the beginning of Better Call Saul, but I wanted to wait. Okay. I'd watched the first episode of Breaking Bad, and then when it was done, I bought the oil drum, barrel, the 50-gallon barrel, and watched. I binged the whole thing in like a week. It was one of the greatest entertainment experiences. It was so good. So with Better Call Saul, I decided to kind of do the same thing, and so that's what I'm waiting to get the whole show.
You will have to wait on. It will continue in July, I believe.
And then I hope afterwards they'll get the complete series. With a great documentary.
That is a question for me, Rob. Considering Shudder, we all know they release their stuff on Blu-ray, and it's really a domestic thing. Considering Shudder, okay, I buy the Shudder stuff, but how many international people buy the Shudder Blu-ray? So it's really a domestic thing. Would you think, considering Netflix, couldn't they make a little bit of money considering her precious shows releasing on Blu-ray internationally?
Maybe, but Netflix is pretty worldwide.
Yeah, so, considering Stranger Things, if you put out Stranger Things on Blu-ray, say, if they are.
Well, they did the first season.
Yeah, but it was really a US release, just, Rob. It was really, I think, a Target special release or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing about it's really interesting. This idea about streaming, I mean, I get it. All these streaming services want to drive subscriptions, by having this programming. I think Sebastian's pushing on the garage door. I mean, it's a hard thing. I think everything should be on physical media. I mean, physical media, obviously.
Just because you said the mechanics, I showed those media books, just 200 pieces, and Shudder is just a domestic thing, but it seems to work for them somehow. So, because otherwise,
somebody's making money. I mean, look,
otherwise, I wouldn't think they would continue to release their stuff on a Blu-ray and say,
but the horror crowd, okay. is right, Rob. Is they're the last people.
Yeah,
I mean, of all the crowds of people, the horror crowd, you and I are horror people, will buy that shit.
Yeah,
you're right. And I think, and so Shudder releases this stuff because they know, and you've got actresses like Barbara Crampton, who I've interviewed on this channel, who, I mean, first of all, she's an ageless, timeless beauty. I love Barbara Crampton.
They're the most loyal fans, the horror fans.
The most loyal fans, and they want to own horror fans. Yeah, I mean, I know what it's like. I mean, you can see, I've been stacking my although I have to say, I don't know if Swack Props even watches this show, but that's his 9 Gates book that he sent me. I was trying to figure out, like, how can I fold the oilcloth that Johnny Depp uses to hold that book around? How can I fold it and keep it displayed correctly? So it's I
was just thinking about it. Why doesn't Netflix do the same and release their most successful?
That's what Stinky Tuna's for.
Okay, there you go.
Just kidding. Did I say that? Oops.
Oops.
I don't agree with piracy.
Yeah. But was just thinking about, because Shudder is really, when I think about, more just a American domestic thing. Okay, I buy
Yeah.
this stuff, but it's not the norm that people buy American Blu-rays. You know.
Yeah. MCP Scotty sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you for that, MCP Scotty. Reporting back on Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which played 3 times in theaters last week. The new 4K restoration. Kirk never looked better. Everything looked and sounded beautiful. I love Spock's black robe. I got sleepy, though. I preferred watching it at home. I can't wait for the 4K disc. Well, Scotty, I mean, for those of you who know, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, the director's cut finally got finished in 4K. I would say I love most of it. There are things I wish that they had more time and more money to do. I mean, I still feel that it remains. It's great that we have what we have, but it remains, I think, unfinished. And maybe when I get it, I will one day do my definitive version of Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Your own edit.
My own edit. I'm going to do the Rob Burnett definitive version of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, because I think, again, you know, I get tired of all this half-assed stuff. Like, do it for real. Give people the time they need. Everything is rush when they do these restorations. Like with home theater, how many times do we see things that are recalled?
Can you give us an example what you were not too up to the?
Well, I mean, I think one of the great things about the new restoration that I love is the sound mix. It's incredible.
Yeah, totally.
But, you know, I mean, there are moments in the film that I miss. Like, there's a great one, I think, Persis Kambata's, and this might be a function of Robert Wise himself or the guys. Here's what I fundamentally object to producer David Fine, who led the restoration, of his categorization that Kirk is a dick in the movie, and they needed to soften his character. I think that is a fundamental misreading of what the movie's about. And of course he's a dick, because he's head of Starfleet operations for 2.5 years. He doesn't like his life. He doesn't like, the same way that Spock has been disgraced by not achieving Kolinar, and that Dr. McCoy has been pulled out of studying for breeding medicine. Our characters are not in a good place. And this idea that, well, and I only say this because Dave Fine has said this in interviews, you know, and I'm like, look, man, Kirk isn't in a good place. He is being a dick. And there are moments in the movies where McCoy confronts Kirk in his quarters and he says, Jim, you're pushing. Your people know their jobs. And so, like, they cut out a line. There's a line, and I've talked about this for 21 years, where Kirk says viewer off twice after they've seen the Epsilon 9 station destroyed, when they're having a briefing.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody on board.
I know the scene. No, wrong.
And in the scene, Kirk says viewer off. And everyone is so stunned, including Uhura. And they're just standing there after the destruction of the Epsilon 9 station. And then in the original version, Kirk says viewer off. You know, he's stern. And then Uhura's like, oh, yes. And goes and turns that off. They got rid of that second viewer off. It's a small moment, but I think it's a vital moment, because one, it speaks to the fact that this experienced Starfleet crew has seen something they've never seen before, something that is dangerous, something that is overwhelming. And the fact that even Uhura doesn't respond to the first viewer off because she too is stunned. That's why Kirk feels the need, because Kirk's overcompensating. He doesn't even know his way around the ship. So by him saying viewer off a second time, he's asserting his command authority. Whereas Dave Fine has said in interviews, well, we felt we needed to soften Kirk. And I'm like, dude, no, you don't. It's not the same Kirk that's in the original series. It's a Kirk that is not happy. And the whole point of that movie is the 3 men, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, have come together to they're the family they need. They're unwhole if they're not together. And this crisis brings this family back together again. And they needed that. And the fact that when McCoy confronts Kirk and says, you're pushing, your people know their jobs, all of Kirk being a dick is negated in that moment. But you need to have it set up so McCoy can admonish him and say, hey, man, you got to chill the fuck out, bro. And I think that, you know, that kind of decision making is something that requires. It needed a look. Robert Wise is no longer with us. The Star Trek the 4K restoration is great. It needed a director to oversee it. It needed somebody to make those story points that understand the entire arc of what's going on. It doesn't need. This is why I don't believe that fans are always the best people to work on things. You need a combination of the two. But it's still an astonishing achievement. And it's great. I think everybody did some really exemplary work, but I wish they had more time and more money. It's still great. But I still want to do what I would say to be and I will when I get the 4K of the disc. I'll make my definitive version of it.
Exactly. We got a new super chat in, Rob.
Yes, Terrier says, this is interesting. So none of you are talking about The Staircase. Get in it. Colin Firth is truly killing it with his interpretation of Michael Peterson. Such a good series. Now, The Staircase is a fictional version of a documentary series about a man who may or may not have killed his wife. Happy family, wealthy family, and the wife fell down the stairs under interesting circumstances. I have not watched The Staircase only because I've seen the documentary, but I'm totally going to get to it. Have you heard about it?
Hey, you reminded me or say, Dieter, you have to watch The Staircase. I didn't remember it correctly, Rob. And then I watched Severance because I thought he mentioned Severance, on Apple TV. And now I know it was The Staircase again. So, Rob, have you gotten a little bit further with Severance on Apple TV?
No, I haven't, because being back at the John Campea show, but I'm going to, I knocked out. I have to watch shows for the show that when we do them live to review, but I want to finish Severance and I want to, obviously, Stranger Things. Those are the two things I really want to finish.
Obviously. And I only hope, Rob, because there is a big cliffhanger and we'll get a second season on Severance. But I hope we have some showrunners. They have a goal to go. We know good concepts. But then. So I hope they have a goal. And for people who probably don't know what Severance is about, can you give us a little bit of synopsis for the show?
Well, Severance is I would call it a science fiction show. And it's basically about a company where you go to work for the company, but when you go to work for them, you have to undergo a process which conditions you. So whatever happens at work while you're at work, when you leave, you have no memory of it.
Exactly.
You have no memory
of no NDA needed.
Yeah, no NDA needed. They wipe your mind so you don't know what's going on. And at the same time, while you're at work, your real life, whatever's going on outside of your real life, does not matter to you at all.
So you have actually two personalities.
Yes. And why is that the case? How is that the case? What is the reason that a company would want to do that to you? Is all a part
the strange work that they are doing, Rob.
Yeah, which you don't know right away.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great premise. It's a
great,
to me, it's a great modern science fiction premise. It would have been right at home on the Twilight Zone or the Outer Limits, and it's beautifully made.
The last episode is the best, Rob. The last episode is the best of the first season.
I can't. We're getting some great genre material, and in a couple of in a week, For All Mankind season 3 starts, which I cannot wait for. And both these are Apple shows. They're killing it.
Yeah.
So,
but now Terry, I remember you mentioned The Staircase, not Severance, but they're watching Severance because I thought, Terry mentioned Severance. It was The Staircase. Now I remember it. I hope I will get to it.
By the way, I should point out that next week, we've got The Untouchables comes out in 4K.
Nice.
For a few dollars more, comes out in 4K. Double Indemnity, Fistful of Dollars, comes out in 4K. 1776, if that's something that you want, is coming out in 4K. Those are all things that I will be buying. And the films of Doris Wishman, she was a female filmmaker that made a lot of cheesecake movies that lot of nudity and good stuff there that comes out as well. So there's good stuff coming out.
Rob, have you watched a little bit of the trial? Have you any judgment about it?
I've watched recaps. Look, to me, I've seen, working in Hollywood, I've seen these kinds of relationships. People get into relationships with people, whether it's Johnny Depp or Amber Heard. Once you become a movie star and you can no longer go out in public, you can't go to the 7-Eleven and buy a Slurpee if you want by yourself, or even walk down the street or go to a restaurant without being recognized. Your life changes, and a lot of those kinds of people get very lonely and isolated because they don't know who they can trust.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great example of that. And, Amber Heard is a beautiful girl, and she has something. Beautiful women will always have something men will want, or women will want. And, Johnny Depp is a guy who's been in the business for a long time. And I think it just became, it became something that it was always going to become, because these were two people that they live in a fantasy world of their own making. And when you get two of those people together, I mean, I've noticed that some of the most successful marriages in the business are when someone is in the business and someone is out of the business. Like Kevin Feige's wife is, I believe she's a surgeon.
Oh, okay.
So you don't see her in the limelight. And I think the whole thing's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
What do you think?
But, well, like I said, if it wouldn't be broadcast, I wouldn't have delved into that deeply. But since I've gotten, to celebrity scene on the stand, and I love courtroom scenes, I thought, well, follow it a little bit. But I wouldn't be. I'm happy that I'm not at the jury. They have to decide for one side or the other. And considering, I thought Amber was her own worst witness for herself. If you have a client and your client is your worst witness, I believed the witnesses she brought more than herself, what she is told, that's really tough. But considering that, Johnny said it was not about the money, the case, just the reputation. So if the jury decides for him, but I hope they will go not too much on the money, because
the thing about, people forget, like, Johnny Depp's a dad.
Yeah.
He's got kids, and the kind of things that were, I wouldn't want my entire life uncovered and up to this kind of scrutiny.
That was a point that his side made at the closing arguments. Would he really be giving his life to the whole world to see if he didn't think he was on the right side?
Yeah.
So for me, if he wins, but a little bit low on the money. I know Fantastic Beasts, I will totally buy that he lost that. But considering Pirates 6, the trajectory of the franchise, it was still a hit, the fifth one, but the trajectory was down. So if Disney was really planning a part 6, perhaps this could have been the final covenant that they said, oh no, let's not do a Pirate 6. But if he really lost Pirate 6 through this, I don't know about that.
I don't either. I mean, I think some of it he did. I mean, because he was considered, in the Me Too era, that he was an abuser and that kind of thing. And
but I'm really looking forward to what the jury will decide.
Yeah, it's interesting. We now live in a time where men are bad. We're just bad. Even though we've been bad since time immemorial, whatever, we're bad. And anyone who's been in a crazy relationship, anyone understands the craziness of that relationship.
And then they brought as witness the two doctors. One doctor canceled the other out. The other doctor has no idea, no plan, and was just back and forth. It was insane.
I mean, anyone who's been in that kind of a nutty relationship gets it. Yeah. You know, I watch Johnny Depp from a male perspective. I'm like, I get it, dude. You know, you fell in love with Amber Heard. I know. I understand. I
should get the rum diary, Rob, to start it where it all began.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand that. It's funny. I always go back to George Zunza, the character actor from Basic Instinct, who said, it's a great line of dialogue. He says that she has that magnum cum laude pussy that done fried up your brain. and that's exact to me. That's right. It's right there. I mean, men can be, we all reason, I mean, women will never understand this, but if men find something that turns them on or whatever, all of their faculties leave them and they get crazy. And it's when that line, when he's talking about Catherine Trammell, he's trying to get Nick Curran, Michael Douglas, to not, like, he's like, dude, this chick is bad news. I understand. I get it. She's blowing your mind. I understand this. You must go away. You must leave. We get it. I understand. Your animal brain is you found the thing you want the most. Go away. Go away now. And that's why he uses that great line of dialogue. And that's why Basic Instinct has a lot of truth in it.
Considering Basic Instinct and your figure behind you, I don't know. I thought I have saved the live chat. There were two great live chats. One said the Basic Instinct figure that will be your manager of your super band. And one she will be the manager of your super band. And one said your drummer will be Annabelle from the Muppets.
Can I just say I love this. This might be my favorite 6-scale figure that I own. Oh God, I love this figure.
Yes, one last super chat.
We do actually two. Tom Jr. Jackson said, Rob, glad to see you got the show going. Dieter, well, you are doing your thing. Have a great week, guys. My mom says, hi, Rob. Well, hi, Tom's mom. Good to hear from you. Tom's mom. Always a pleasure. I'm a big fan of your son. You make great kids. Good for you. Well done. Our friend Alexander Wilson is here with Super Chat and says, I was listening to one of the original funders of Uber about the Showtime show about it, and he said it was terrible. They reused the social network plot for it, which he thought was super lazy. Yeah, I don't blame him. I mean, I see that. I love the Social Network. I think it's a great movie based on a book. But yeah, I mean, there's a structure there that, hey, why not? Writers today, if they have something, they don't have to do the work and they can just look at something and borrow. Look no further than Star Trek. Modern Star Trek just borrows a bunch of shit, whether it's from Star Trek writers or other people. They just, game developers, Dune, whatever. They'll just go and pick and choose. Because these writers, these young writers, I'm saying writers in their 20s and 30s, they grew up cutting and pasting for their school papers from fucking Wikipedia. They grew up in that world. So, I mean, I'm not accusing people of plagiarism, but
I haven't caught up with Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, well, it's fine. But Alexander, whatever.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we live in a world where the last 20, 25 years, people got to write their college papers by going and reading other things, not just the Cliff's Notes. We have these things called Cliff's Notes, these little books, but there's no real, you can tell because you can tell who was really well educated. The writing on television, and I hate to say it, but the writing on Star Trek is all written by people that were used to going in and cribbing their college papers from whatever source they could use and then rewriting the words, but they didn't think of it themselves. And you can tell. I mean, it's funny because I could look at scripts and go, yeah, you cut and pasted that. And yeah, you cut and pasted that. You can tell because the stories betray them. Anyway, Ron C. sends in a $20 super chat and says, hello. Last week, I finished season 2 of Trek, and now I'm on 3. Question: Gremlins is a copy of The Trouble with Tribbles, and Star Wars has a reference from the Immunity Syndrome when Spock feels the deaths of 400 people. Thoughts? Hey, man, you said it. Yes. For those 2 actual instances, Gremlins about never feed them and never get them wet after midnight. There is definitely a Trouble with Tribbles vibe from that. And you have to remember that, Star Trek was the gold standard of erudite televised science fiction. There was Twilight Zone and Outer Limits, but Star Trek also had pulp action adventure and a lot of that in there. So Star Trek has ripples throughout, but it absolutely influenced Star Wars. When Spock feels the immunity syndrome, the immunity syndrome is one of the most underrated episodes of Star Trek ever. It's one of my top 10 favorite episodes of the original series. It's a fantastic episode, but in that, Spock feels the 400 crew members of there's a heavy cruiser like the Enterprise that's only manned by Vulcans, the Intrepid, and it encounters the giant space amoeba first, and everyone on that ship died, and Spock sensed it. So that was absolutely when Obi-Wan Kenobi feels the destruction of Alderaan in the Force. It's totally right out of the immunity syndrome. So Ron C, you're absolutely correct. And you can see how the original series ripples. A lot of younger people don't understand that. They don't understand just how influential Star Trek is. And I understand that because they look at it and they see the production values, or they see the colors, and they see the way TV was made in the 60s. They can't. It's interesting because even when I watched Star Trek as a little kid, or I watched the original King Kong, I was able to put myself in the mindset of when the movie was made. It's just something I learned because as a kid growing up, I watched anything. I didn't turn off a black and white monster movie because it was black and white. I knew that in the 30s, when Universal was making monster movies, they didn't have color film yet. So I didn't go, I'm not going to watch it because it's in black and white. Nowadays, people are like, nah, it just looks old, I'm not going to watch it. I hate that mindset. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, listen, we have to end the show, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a fine show. Even though I'm sorry, everybody, technically, I'll get my
computer back.
Look at that. Look at that. Oh man.
Saarbrücker newspaper, Rob.
I'm gonna hang that up, and I'm gonna put that in the old Rob Observatory. It's coming in here. So anyway, Dieter, another good show. Thank you if you want to send us letters, you can go to the postgeeksingularity.com website, send us letters, put in the title, Let's Get Physical Media. You can buy merch like the great shirt that Dieter is wearing. Look at that shirt. Come on, man. If you want to wear us on your chest, and why shouldn't you? You can get shirts and merch. And I never push any of our merch, but it's cool. That design. I mean, look at that. And yeah. So there we go.
And thanks everybody for waiting this long.
Yes, thank you.
Got the show rolling.
Yes.
But we finally did it. We did it.
We did.
Und on that note, jede Person, die du triffst, hat eine Geschichte zu erzählen, die du noch zu hören hast. Alles, was du tun musst, ist zuhören.
Every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen. I want to thank our moderating staff, Tom Jr. Jackson, Justin Toner. I don't know who else is here. And I want to thank everybody for generously supporting the channel via super chats and tips and memberships. Very much so. We will finally have a membership call next week. I'm sorry, I've been putting these off. Craziness, COVID, all that. But we will have one next week and go back to the bi-weekly schedule, maybe even a weekly schedule in the summer. Who knows? But I want to thank all of you. And on that note, remember, have a better day and go see Top Gun in IMAX. Biggest theater
exactly.
You can. I'm waiting to cut myself off because I can't cut to another graphic. So, what are you gonna do?
What do I do?
I'm waiting till I'm looking at the feed because it's delayed. Boom, there we go. We're out.